All set.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the Zoning Hearing Board meeting for Wednesday, October the 9th, 2024. My name's Phil Urbina. I'm a member of the board and the chairperson. I'm going to ask the other members of the board to introduce themselves. Jeff? You're muted, Jeff. Jared?
Jared Bartz, member of the board.
Charlie?
Charlie Jones, alternate member of the board.
Okay. And I think Tom Fox was on for a minute ago. All right, he'll probably be back.
You got me, Phil?
Yep.
Okay.
That was Jeff Gattone, a member of the board.
With the board.
Emily?
Emily Diaz-Melendez with the zoning office.
Steve?
Steve Price, solicitor to the board.
Libby, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hold on. I'm having now technical difficulties, even though I got Steve up to base. But I'm Libby. I am Steve's associate. I am with Mogul Spidell, Bob and Kirshner.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, what I am going to ask this evening is if you're not participating in a hearing, mute yourself. We don't care if your face is on screen, but just mute yourself so that we don't get a lot of noise that's not involved with that particular appeal. We have three.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. You want me to say that in Spanish just for those on the audience?
Okay, if you would like, yes, please go ahead, sir.
Para aquellos que van a participar esta noche, si no es su turno de participar, por favor ponga su micrófono en silencio, apáguelo. Aunque no tenga video, no hay problema. Apaga el micrófono hasta que le toque hablar.
Okay. You want to introduce yourself, Ken? You're kind of almost a standing member of the board.
Ken Olivo, certified court interpreter.
Okay.
Not a member of the board.
Right, not a member of the board, but almost. All right, our decisions. Our first appeal that we will decide is 2408-0020. It is 131 North 6th Street. Mr. Price.
Yes, is there a motion to approve the relief requested, subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, ayes have it.
Okay. The next appeal is 2408-0022, 416-420 Walnut Street. Mr. Price.
Is there a motion to approve the relief requested, subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Is there a-
second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes
Okay.
have it.
And the last appeal that we will decide is 2408-0023, 645 North 9th Street. Mr. Price.
Okay, let me just take a look. Oh, is there a motion to require the applicant to pursue a conditional use under the relevant sections of the zoning ordinance? This was really not properly brought in front of the zoning board.
I would make that motion.
I'll
Is there-
second it.
There's a motion and a second, so the applicant should be advised to make a conditional use application and appear before city council. All in favor to recommend that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have two continued cases. Appeal 2407-0019, 210 Fairmont Avenue. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Sorry, 1 second. I'm on the phone with Tom Fox. He was having issues logging on. 1 second.
Charlie,
Yes,
how's Singleton doing? Has he been sick?
he had an injury. We're all hoping he's ready for this week.
Okay.
Emily, can you get him on just by phone?
Um, let me ask him if he can just call in.
There's some interesting aspects to this case, so that's why there's a little bit of a delay here. So as soon as we get this resolved, we'll move on.
Sorry about that. He's gonna call in.
All right.
All right, we're gonna swear you in, Emily.
You swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Notice for this appeal been given,
It has.
Mr. Price.
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. And this is 2010 Fairmount Avenue, am I correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
All right, I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, and I think, Ms. London, are you representing this group?
I am representing the applicant, yes.
Okay, do you want to enter your appearance? We'll swear in anybody that you might want to have testify. And I believe you have some comments you want to make, so.
Yes, I do. Enter my appearance, Joan, middle initial E, London, London. I'm with Kozloff Stout, 2640 Westview Drive. I'm missing 19610. The staff report requires a plan to be drawn for the parking and storage that's at issue in this case. My client has been attempting to get that plan completed, is not completed as of yet. He has to budget for it, but he does have someone retained to do it. And I'm going to ask that it be continued for another 60 days to allow for completion of the plan.
Okay. I will make that motion. So I will make a motion to extend this for another 60 days. And I think that probably would be the last extension we would give on this.
And it's the last one that I will request. I've made it clear to my client that we need to have this on the December list.
Okay. All right. Do I
I'll
have a
second your
second?
motion.
Pardon? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Any opposed?
Phil, I would like to abstain. I'm a member of the North End Rod and Gun Club.
Oh, Okay, thank you, Charlie. I think given the number of members we have, are we still okay with that, Steve?
We have Jeff, we have Tom, and you, that's three, that's a quorum. yeah.
Tom isn't on.
Jared.
Jared's on.
Yeah, so we're fine.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that you have another 60 days for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the next appeal is 2408-0021. It is 1501 Mineral Spring Road. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Price, excuse me, has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Okay, Mr. Price?
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay. And who would be representing 1501 Mineral Spring?
I am, Mr. Rubino. This is Elizabeth McGovern. I'm here on behalf of Hartman, Valeriano, McGovern, and Lutz.
Okay. Ken, if you want to translate that for anybody in the audience?
I don't think this one needed the interpreter, Phil.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be it's different on here.
26, the third
Yeah.
one on the list.
All right. Okay, Liz,
Yes.
if you would like to introduce yourself again, and anybody you're going to have testify, we'll swear them in at this point.
Sure. My name again is Elizabeth McGovern. I'm here with the law firm of Hartman, Valeriano, McGovern, and Lutz. I'm representing the applicant Dominic Di Stefano and Yellow Smidgen LLC. I have with me tonight the architect, Mark Shalassi. Mark, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right.
All right, it's Shalacy. Close enough.
Shalacy, thank you, Mark.
No problem.
Sometimes I tend to pronounce names wrong.
Okay.
And I also have, I hope Dominic is on Zoom.
Yes, hello.
Terrific. Hi, Dominic. So those are my two witnesses tonight.
Liz,
Okay.
do you
We'll
want to
swear
do an
them in.
offer? I'm sorry, do you want to do an offer of proof and then we can ask questions if we have them?
Oh, that's terrific. I have, so this property has been previously used as, and let me just get my notes in front of me, Steve. It has previously been used as an extended care facility. I'm sure you're probably aware of this property. It's a beautiful property on the corner of 1501 Mineral Spring Road. My clients have purchased this property and they would like to renovate the existing building in order to use the building as an apartment building. This is permitted as a special exception use. The only reasonable modification that we're requesting from the requirements, I think the ordinance requires 32 parking spaces and we are offering 29 parking spaces, but we have submitted our exhibits to the zoning officer. I'm hoping that you were able to view these. They were architectural facade plans. Also, we have plans showing the layout of the building, the parking, etc. And we're here to answer any questions. If you want to handle it that way, Steve, or I can go
Sure.
through. I have Mark, my architect, who is licensed as a professional architect in Pennsylvania, and Dominic is here on behalf of all of the LLCs. He's authorized to testify tonight.
Right. So in fact, gentlemen, I think you know this property. It's the Hawthorne. It was actually built by the founder of my law firm, George Bear, who's president of the Reading Railroad. It's been, at least in my 35 years here, always an extended care facility. So basically, you're just substituting one type of a tenant for another type.
That's
Right.
correct. That's
And, and you're asking for a variance for 3 parking spaces, correct?
Well, it's under a special exception. Under the adaptive reuse requirements, you can give that modification as part of the special exception. So it's technically not a variance.
And all the apartments, there'll be 19, you said?
That's correct.
They'll all meet the minimum square footage or exceed it?
That's correct. They're meeting all the requirements under the special exception requirements in the zoning ordinance.
And there'll be no material changes to the exterior of the historic building. It'll be just buffed up a little bit and fixed up inside, correct?
That's correct. And Dominic, if you have anything to add, let me know, or Mark, but we are trying to preserve the property as best as we can, just making changes in the inside.
Correct.
All right. I don't have any other questions for the witnesses. I think the plans were pretty self-evident, but members of the board may.
All right. Any board members have any questions?
Nope.
I just have one real quick one. Will you be doing a lighting study to make sure that the lighting does not intrude on other people's properties? And is there going to be some sort of a security system as part of the redevelopment? And I don't care who answers.
Like I say, Dom, do you want to answer or?
Yes, Mr. Rubino, we are going to use existing lighting and we're going to add security cameras around the property.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. All right. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions of this applicant? Just questions, not whether you agree or disagree.
I do.
All right. Go ahead.
My name is Anissa, and I wanted to ask a question of the.
Where do you reside, ma'am?
I'm in Old Spring Road.
Okay.
Yes, so that's why I'm an interested party. So you mentioned about the parking spots coming to about maybe how many did you say they're going to be? 28?
29.
29? So are those spots that are already there? Because I live on Mineral and have passed by the property and I did not see the indication of the marking of the parking spots. Because
I think I can.
we are trying to make sure as a person who lives on the Mineral Spring that we don't get an overflow from the 19 apartments down to Mineral Spring or on the other street, which is Climber, because it's a one street way, because
Okay,
already we have
ma'am,
issues.
you're testifying now. You asked a question, how many spaces there are. That question was answered. If you want to testify for or against this, we can do that when we move forward.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Anybody want to speak for the granting of the application? Anybody want to testify against granting the application? I believe our last person. Anisha?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you against this application?
Yeah.
ma'am?
Are you for or against this?
I need to understand it and see that the parking spots are adequately provided, because I don't want an issue on our Mineral Spring or the other Climber Street. We already have issues.
Yes, so
Okay.
under the ordinance, ma'am, we have to provide at least, we're supposed to be providing 32 spaces, but we are there's the exhibit. Those will be provided. We will meet the dimensional requirements in the ordinance, and that is where the parking spaces are. If you can see them, they're labeled. And when we go through planning, we will have them particularly identified as parking spaces for the tenants that reside in that apartment building, to make sure that there will be no overflow parking onto the street. That's why we're required to provide the parking spaces on the property.
So is this something that we will see once it proceeds?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
right now there are no markings.
No,
Correct.
we have to mark those spaces, and as Mark, the architect, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, they will be marked and identified once we
Yeah,
go through planning.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
currently, when you drive by the property, there really is no markings. We're not increasing the bituminous paving at all. We're just now going to mark it correctly So we get 29 spaces.
Okay, I will check on that. I'll keep tabs on that.
Okay.
And we have to do that as part of the zoning relief. We need to provide those spaces. So if we did not provide them, we would be in violation. So we definitely will provide those spaces.
Okay. All right. Emily, any comments, questions?
No, just again, the modification of parking is going from 1.5 spaces to 1.4 spaces. And all of the proposed dwelling units either meet or far exceed what's required. So zoning office is happy with that.
Yes, that is good for a change. All right, Mr. Price?
I have nothing. The only thing I'd ask is because we had testimony going in before people were sworn in, if Sandy could just swear the architect and the owner of the property and just have them confirm that what they testified to earlier is correct.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you've given is true and correct to the best of your ability
Yes.
Okay.
and knowledge?
Dominic, we need to swear you in too.
No, if we're doing same time or not.
Okay.
Excuse me? Oh, yeah. Do you swear the testimony you've given is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okie dokie.
All right, if nobody has anything else, we're going to close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Appreciate it.
evening.
You
You
too.
too.
Hey, Liz.
See you, Steve.
Okay. The next matter before us is a request for an extension, and that is Appeal 2023-14. It's 544 North 9th Street. And do we have somebody representing them?
I believe they were on. Is someone from the church on?
Okay. All right, here's the situation with this, just so kind of everybody knows. They had to acquire some additional land. That has to be combined on single deeds and a number of other things related to land development and things like that. And what they're requesting is that we grant them an extension for 1 year. Now, this is not something we normally do. We'll do 30 or 60 days. Once in a while, we'll do 90 days. I am willing to make a motion to do this for 1 year. However, that would be the only extension that they would get. If they have not completed this and come forward to us within 1 year, then it would be basically an automatic denial. So if I make this motion, do I have a second?
I'll
Mr.
second.
Chairman, before we complete this process of the second and voting, just a little suggestion, perhaps might be advisable that over some period of time, 2 months or 3 months, that they could just give you a little progress report, just a short note. We're making some progress and hopefully we'll make the date, that kind of a thing, to let you know that they are indeed progressing.
And I would agree with that. So I'll amend the motion to say we'll extend it for 1 year. And every 3 months, they need to contact the zoning office and tell them the status of what's going on. So do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Those opposed? Okay, seeing none, then we will give them the 1 year extension with the qualifications of a report every 3 months. And Emily, if you folks don't get those reports, then we want to know about it.
Okay.
So, all right, thank
right.
you. Okay, the next appeal is 2408-0024 546 South 9th Street. Ace Lounge LLC is seeking to appeal the zoning officer's determination and request a special exception and or determination that the proposed bottle club / restaurant use is a permissible replacement for the prior non-conforming restaurant / tavern use, and that the proposed use is of equal or less intensity than the prior use. The applicant is also seeking special exception approval, or in the alternative, a variance for the required off-street parking spaces. In the alternative, the applicant is seeking a variance from the zoning ordinance section 800.B, permitted uses in the R3 district, and 1203.C, bottle clubs. The subject property is located in the R3 residential zoning district, and the owner of record is A&G LLC. Emily, would you swear in Emily, please?
Swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Mr. Price?
All right, I'll put into evidence following exhibits. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, and do we need a translator for this?
No, and actually, just for a heads up, if it would be possible to move up the appeal for 746, 748 North 9th Street to be after this one. The interpreter has a time conflict.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
And that's
All
fine
right.
because I also represent the owners of 746 and 748, so that works perfectly. Let me just send a quick text to a witness to make sure that he knows that we're up next. Hold on.
Yes, but for this particular hearing, we don't need the interpreter.
That's right. No, you don't, and you won't need it for 746 or 748 either.
Oh, okay. They marked that they did. So
Let's have them on standby because just in case, but
okay.
Okay.
because
And I think, Joan, if you want to do like you usually do, an offer of proof, as we've done before, that always works well. So proceed.
all right. All right, this 546, 548, 546 South 9th Street is the former Brewery Inn. And the Brewery Inn was a full-service restaurant with a liquor license, a restaurant and tavern use. If the special exception and variances were granted, the owners would operate this facility as mainly a restaurant with bottle club service until they could get a liquor license. I have here tonight Adalberto Acevedo and Hector Colon, who will be able to testify and answer any questions that you'll have. The property is owned by A&G LLC, and Ace Lounge LLC would be managing and operating the restaurant use. They are authorized to be here and testify tonight. The property in 2021, as is shown in the staff report, had been placarded as being unfit for human occupancy and not able to be used. Since that time, the owners have made a number of renovations, including electrical, plumbing, structural, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and new windows, and have cleaned up the exterior. They have obtained permits from the city to do so. There are photographs that were forwarded to the zoning officer earlier today that were taken by Mr. Acevedo. Could the zoning officer please share the screen to show those photographs?
Sorry, Joan, it's not allowing me to open up the picture files.
Okay, that's fine. They had been forwarded, so they can be forwarded to the board. We'd ask that they would be marked as exhibits, applicant exhibits 1 through 7. These photographs show the interior renovations to the kitchen area and the the restaurant and bar area. In the alternative, the applicants are seeking a variance for parking. When the restaurant operated as the Brewery Inn, which I'm sure is familiar to all of the members of the board, it did not have off-street parking, and the situation is similar. There have been no changes made to the property. There is no place on the property for off-street parking. It was able to operate in the neighborhood, which is for the most part an industrial and commercial area, and without disruption to the neighborhood, and it would not create any further disruption. They are ready to operate as a restaurant. They have their Safe Serve certification. They also have ramp training. They are attempting to obtain a. Is everything all right?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll continue. And the bottle club use would not be an after hours club type of use. It would operate as a cover charge after dinner hour, but closed prior to 2 a.m. And measures would be taken to ensure security and that there is no noise or unruly gatherings. Mr. Acevedo is the owner of Ace Security, so security will be provided. There will be approximately 12 restaurant employees. The kitchen is a commercial kitchen, be operated so that no smoke or odors would emanate to the outside. It is mainly a restaurant use. It would be a neighborhood type of restaurant where people would be able to go for lunch or brunch or dinner, be able to bring alcohol with them. Again, until they are attempting to obtain a liquor license, they can't do so until they have zoning approval, and they can testify to the steps that they're taking. There'd be no negative impacts. The Brewery Inn operated successfully and was a good part of the neighborhood for many years, and this would be no different. Again, Mr. Acevedo and Mr. Colon are here and able to answer any questions that the board has. They're here and ready to be sworn and answer questions.
Okay, we have to have them sworn in case somebody asks a question. So why don't we do that?
You both please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And will you both please state your name and spell it?
Alberto Acevedo, Adalberto, Acevedo, Acevedo.
Hector Colon, Hectorcolon.
Okay, thank you. All right, any board members have any questions of these gentlemen?
I have just a brief question. As you gentlemen may know, that place was famous as an Italian restaurant. That was their cuisine. What kind of a cuisine do you, I'm not saying you have to go Italian. I'm saying, what kind of a cuisine are you going to have?
Oh, okay. So our cuisine is going to be more ham foods, basically cheese steaks, things of that nature. Just we wanted to specialize on breakfast and brunch, really a brunch spot, because there's really not no brunch spots in the South Side. So if we bring a brunch spot, we know that'll be, something that the South Side needs. So,
okay, so you're not looking primarily an evening out place for dinner.
But you're right. Our main goal is breakfast and brunch, but it's also if you want to go somewhere and enjoy, a nice meal later on, a nice cheesesteak and relax and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
I think the only question I have is, and you may not know the answer to this, how long does it take you to get, once you've applied for a liquor license, how long does it usually take to get something like that?
So as of right now, Pennsylvania is not selling any liquor license. We would have to buy the liquor license by a second or a third party, indicating either another establishment that is going out of business, an establishment that is selling their business and selling their liquor license, and that would give us the opportunity to purchase their license.
Okay, so you would like to run that as a bottle club, so to speak, and I understand this is a little bit different than the typical bottle club, but you would like to operate like that until you get, or until you can afford, or you can even buy a liquor license. Would that be a correct statement?
Pretty close to it. So we were told that we had to name it as a bottle club service, just because of the grounds of the customers being able to bring in their own either sparkling wine, an alcoholic beverage. So we were told that we have to submit it as a bottle club service because there was no other name to submit it under.
Okay.
Would it be more like a bring your own bottle restaurant establishment?
Correct.
Yes.
So would that be the emphasis as opposed to the emphasis being on drinking at a bottle club? The emphasis would be more on alcohol with meals.
Yes.
Okay. And you're not bringing in any entertainment at night or anything like that?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other board members have a question? Emily, question.
No, just to put on the record for anyone who may be watching or watch later, there are, like they said, unfortunately, they're basically interim use, just by how our definitions are worded. A BYOB is considered a bottle club, but there are regulations for that. So if anyone was worried, there are regulations for that, even though they don't have a liquor license. So there are separate permits for that for anyone who may have a concern for that.
Okay.
But no
All right.
questions.
Mr. Price?
I have nothing.
All right, anybody in the audience have any questions of these gentlemen? Not whether you like it or not, just any questions. All right, seeing none. Anybody in the audience wish to testify for granting the application? Anybody wish to testify against granting the application? Okay, seeing none. Joan, do you have anything else you would like to add?
I'm just going to ask Mr. Acevedo and Mr. Colon for the record. Were you present during my offer of proof?
Yes.
Yes.
And if you had been asked questions, would you have answered similarly?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you, and we thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sandy, you okay?
I am, thank you.
All right. This is appeal. The next appeal is Appeal 2409-0025. It is 928 North 13th Street.
Bill. Sorry, we were bringing forth the 746, 748.
Oh, that's right. I apologize.
Right, I'm going, yes, Mrs. Santiago is here to testify. I believe she'll be able to participate in English, but just in case.
All right. Well, we'll move it up. I got things in an order here and I just forget sometimes. Appeal 2409-0026 is the appeal we're working on now. 746, 748 North 9th Street. Victor Santiago is seeking a variance to permit the conversion of 2 single-family dwellings into a ground floor restaurant and 3 dwelling units. A variance from the minimum floor area for 1 dwelling unit and a variance for the required number and/or dimensional requirements for off-street parking spaces. The subject property is located in the CN zoning district, and the owner of record is Milagros Santiago.
Apelación número 2409-0026, 746 a 748 norte de la calle 9. Víctor Santiago está buscando una variación para permitir la conversión de 2 unidades unifamiliares en un restaurante en la planta baja y 3 unidades de vivienda. Una variación del área mínima del piso para una unidad de vivienda y una variación para el número requerido y o los requisitos dimensionales para el espacio de estacionamiento fuera de la calle. La propiedad en cuestión está ubicada en el distrito de zonificación CN. La titular del registro es Milagro Santiago.
Okay, thank you. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, thank you. And Joan, I think you're on again, and we'll do the offer of proof and whatever you normally do.
All right, thank you. I have here to testify and answer any questions, the owner of the property, Milagro Santiago, and also Mark Christman, who prepared the plans for the property and the renderings that were submitted with the application. The property is located at 746, 748 North 9th Street. It is a twin house, double house. It's the best way to describe it. The two halves are identical, both in the same ownership. Mrs. Santiago is seeking a variance for a use with a pizza restaurant, which would be takeout and delivery only on the ground floor, and one apartment on one side, and the other, and then there would be 2 additional apartments. One would be a 2-bedroom apartment, the other a 3-bedroom apartment on the property. Mr. and Mrs. Santiago would live in the property. They would live in the ground floor apartment, and that is also the one for which the variance is being sought for the apartment size, because it is 600 and I believe 635 or 645 square feet, as opposed to the full 700 square feet. The restaurant, again, would have carry out and delivery service only. There would be no eat in. There is parking on the property. There are 4 spaces, 2 behind each of the dwellings at 746 and 748. Immediately adjacent across an alley known as Little Cedar Street, also known as 817 Ole Street, there is a parking lot owned by Alex Frutos of Frutos Real Estate, and there would be spaces available to lease, definitely 2 spaces and possibly more spaces if necessary. They are available for lease. There have been no changes made to the property since the purchase. It would not create any overcrowding or traffic congestion. It's 2 units now. It would pretty much add a 3rd is the best way to describe it. There would be 3 dwelling units as opposed to 2, and low-rise apartments are permitted by right in the zoning district, as is the restaurant use that is proposed. And the parking area, the off-site parking area, is less than 300-foot distance from the proposed use. This is a twin house. It is larger than most, not marketable as a twin house. So the use of it for apartments with the commercial use is necessary for viable use of the property. I have Mark Christman here, and probably Mrs. Santiago and Mr. Christman should be sworn to answer any questions.
Okay.
Will you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Does any member of the board have any questions at this time?
Yeah, I didn't see any pictures of the parking. is side-by-side parking? Is it tandem parking? What kind of parking? You said how many spaces were there? 4?
There are 4 spaces, 2 behind each of the units. Mr. Chrisman, could you elaborate?
Sure. Behind each unit, there's enough space to put two off-street parking spaces. And then directly across the street, Little Cedar Street, there is 817 Ole, a parking lot where Mr. Santiago and Mrs. Santiago were going to lease the additional spaces from.
Okay, now again, just repeat the 2 parking spaces. They're not tandem. You know, 1 space with 1 car parked right on the other, or is this exactly 2 spaces side by side? Is that what
Well,
you're
they're
saying?
side-by-side parking spaces. If I think I'm understanding your question. They're side-by-side parking spaces.
That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Any other questions from the board? Emily?
No questions from me.
Okay. Mr. Price?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions?
¿Alguien en la audiencia tiene alguna pregunta?
Anybody in the audience? All right.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. You want to give us your name and your address and then ask your question?
Yes, my name is Robert Mulholland. I live at 743 North 9th Street, directly across the street from the property.
Spell your last name.
Mulholland. My mother's name is Breon. She owns the property
No.
where I'm living at right now.
Spell those names. I need to spell
Wait a
it.
minute. She needs to know your name and spell it for her, please.
All right, Robert, Robert, Mulholland.
Okay. Now, what is your question?
My question is, they're opening up a restaurant, which is actually, there's one house right next to it, and then next to that is already a Mexican restaurant, and they're talking about parking. The parking, if I'm not, where are they going to park these cars? They're talking about walking them around the block to the back. If it's pickup, then are they going to be picking up double parking in the street like the other restaurant does? That's what my question is. I don't understand where they're talking about they're getting parking.
All right, sir.
Okay.
The testimony from the designer was that there's 4 parking spaces to the rear of these properties, and that there's other parking on Little Caesar Street because there's a parking lot there. That's where they're providing off-street parking.
Okay.
But sir, isn't what you call Little Caesar? That's a thoroughfare. That's a little alley.
Well,
Isn't that right? Has anybody actually physically looked at this place to see what it actually is to put a restaurant? Or has anybody looked at the traffic and the double parking that's already going on?
Okay, sir, you asked a question about parking. They've provided an answer about where the parking's going to be. You may be disagreeing that it's good parking, and you can testify to that. But right now, you asked a question. Do you have any other questions? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. No, I would just like to be able to testify at this hearing as to why the zoning
all right,
board
now wait.
hasn't actually looked at
Sir,
this.
sir, you will be able to testify as soon as we get done with this part of the hearing. So
Right.
if you
Okay.
have any other questions, if you don't have any other
Right.
questions, we're going to close this portion of the hearing, and then we're going to go to testimony from people in the audience.
Right. Is there
yes, sir.
anybody else in the audience who has any question?
¿Hay
All
alguien
right.
más en la audiencia que tiene alguna pregunta?
Okay, there are none. Now, is there anybody who would like to testify for the granting of this application?
¿Hay alguien que quiere testificar para que se apruebe esta aplicación?
Anybody wish to testify against the granting of this application?
¿Alguien quiere
Yes, sir.
declarar en cuanto a que no se apruebe esta solicitud o aplicación?
Okay. Now, sir, if you have something you want to say, now's your time to say it.
He needs to be sworn in.
All right, please
All
raise
right.
your right hand, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
State your name for the record again.
My name is Robert Allen Mulholland.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, if anybody comes by here between 3 to 8 o'clock at night, there's already a restaurant, one house away from where he wants to put that one, and there's going to be 4 and 5 cars double parked there every day of the week. Now, he's going to have pickup, and that is exactly what's going to happen here. The people are rude that come to these restaurants. They don't live here. They dump their trash on our payments. It's just a. And then there's another restaurant down the street. But what they're saying, that when he told me between those two buildings, there's a little alleyway, a little curved alleyway that goes between the buildings. Don't tell me they're not going to double park. There's buses that run down the street, fire engines. The police show up maybe once a week. I hear them blow the sirens and tell people move. 5 minutes later, everybody double park back there again. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Let me speak my piece.
Sure.
Okay.
Miss London, do you have any questions for the witness?
I do. Mr. Mulholland, you had said earlier that the property was your mother's property. Do you actually live there?
Yes, I live here. Yes, I live here. And my mother lives here too. I help take care of her. She's 88 years old. She's recovering from a broken hip.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you hear testimony that there will be no dine-in service? It's strictly a pizzeria. Did you hear that testimony?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And I also heard about pickup. And that's what they do at this other restaurant, and they clog up this whole street. Don't let other people park. And buses are constantly jammed up because these people will not move, get out of the way. It's a mess here. And there's already a restaurant at 742 North 9. It's a Mexican restaurant.
Okay, and does that restaurant have table service as well as pickup and delivery?
Yes, but they're all the people that come here are Uber drivers and those people that deliver food, and plus public people that pick up their own, and they're all double park here. Every one of them.
Yeah, I don't have any further questions.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
All right. All right. Anything else you would like to add, Joan?
Yes, Mrs. Santiago, you were sworn. Did you hear and understand the offer of proof I gave?
Yes.
And if you were asked questions similar to what was said, would you have given similar answers?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have anything further.
Okay, if there's nothing else from anyone, I'll close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you, and we thank all of you for your participation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Take care.
We're going to go to appeal 2409-0025, 928 North 13th Street. Parminder Rashwali is seeking a variance to expand the operating hours of an existing commercial convenience store with fuel sales to 24 hours per day, and a variance from the zoning ordinance section 600-912.a lighting control. The subject property is located in the R3 residential zoning district, and the record of owner is Parminder Rashwali. All right. Would you swear in, Emily, please?
You swear this testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Mr. Price?
Thanks. Put some exhibits into the record, and then I'll make a comment with respect to this application. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading. If you had a chance to look in your package, you'll notice that this applicant was given zoning approval in 2015 to operate a convenience store like he proposes now, with operating hours of 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I think, Emily, you're under oath. As far as I know, there hasn't been any complaints or problems with this property since 2015. Is that correct?
Not directly to the zoning office regarding the permitted use. However, it was brought up during conversations regarding dirt bikes and things like that.
But
if anyone remembers that was going on at council.
I don't, but I mean, with respect to zoning, there hasn't been any.
We that I'm aware of in the 3 years I've been here, I haven't received any complaints regarding their use.
So this is just an expansion from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. To go to 24 hours a day. So adding another 6 hours of operation, correct?
Correct.
All right. I think, Mr. Bambrick, you represent the applicant?
That's correct.
All right, why don't you enter your appearance, and why don't you do an offer of proof, and we'll go from there.
Joseph Bambrick, for the applicant, 529 Reading Avenue, West Reading, Pennsylvania, 19611. We believe that the change in hours would be very beneficial to the neighborhood for a number of reasons. One, people late night, my client has frozen foods, milk, bread, formula, etc., that people can't buy from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m. The big box stores, they've all closed down. They shut their doors down at 10 o'clock. So my clients would be serving a need for people who have any needs for food or milk or anything for breakfast, for late night with babies and formula and things like that. In addition, it'll help reduce crime because it'll put activity in the area and not just have a dead spot overnight. In addition, this will cater to third shift people because somebody coming home from a third shift will be able to purchase merchandise and goods and food, which they can't get at the big box stores because they've closed. My client, as has been testified to, has not caused any harm to the neighborhood in any way. And we believe that this is an addition to the neighborhood. It'll be a plus factor for the neighborhood and a benefit to the neighbors. There are no parking issues or anything like that. So this is just a benefit to the neighborhood because my clients will be able to operate 24 hours a day. Thank you.
And what's the lighting issue?
The lighting issue, the lighting is indirect, it's face down, and it doesn't expand beyond the property.
Okay. Emily, this lighting issue, have they done a lighting study, or is there anything that you know that has been a problem or is going to be a problem?
With this particular property that I'm aware of, no lighting study has been done. What we have noticed in general is whenever new lights are installed, they're a lot brighter. They're sometimes, they're more like fog lights. And those are the general complaints that we get. But in particular to this one, because, you know, us zoning inspectors, we're done at 4. We also don't have the equipment to measure the lighting and stuff, you know, when they're actually on. So we personally had, it was a complaint from a neighbor that it was spilling over. But it's not something that we have been able to observe.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other board members have any questions? All right, Emily, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Steve?
I don't, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Well,
Anybody?
actually, sorry, I do have just one
Okay,
question.
go ahead.
So since you're going to be expanding overnight, what are your security measures?
I'll ask Mr. Rashmili to answer that question.
Will you please raise your right hand? Did I swear you in?
No.
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Speak up and state your full name.
Well, we will have
Well, hold on, state your full name. Answer the question.
Parminder, Parminder. Last name Reshhiwali.
Okay.
Now, you want to answer the question? You don't have to put your hand down. You want to answer the question about the lighting?
Lighting, we fixed already. We fixed the lighting, everything, yeah. Yeah, I went to the code office.
Oh, hold on. You got us.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's testifying?
Well, I'm the son, so. Yeah, he's my son. He speaks better for English. Yeah.
But then we'll swear you in and put your name in the record, and then you can testify.
My name- Yeah, speak again.
Yeah,
My name-
he,
Hold on, they got to swear you.
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
State your full name.
My name is Maninder Reshhiwali, Moninder. Last name Reshhiwali. And about the lighting, we had a complaint, and then I went to the court's office, and they gave me a instrument to test for the lights, and we got the lights fixed, and I stood on the edge of the property, and I tested it, and the lights wasn't bright. It didn't extend out of our property, so the lighting has been totally fixed.
okay. And then regarding security for overnight, what measures have you taken?
We have a 24-hour surveillance system. So if anything happens on the property, our clerk has a computer right at the register. He will know if there's anything happening on the property. In the back, there's a camera. On the side, there's a camera. So all 4 sections of the property is covered by the surveillance system. And if there's any crime that happens on the property, we will catch it on the camera.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other board members have a question? All right, anybody in the audience have a question? Seeing none. Is there anything that anybody would like to add? All right, if anybody would like to testify on behalf of granting the application,
I will call Mr. Rashmilia again and ask Mr. Rashmilia, did you hear the statements that I made to the record?
Yes.
And when you were asked individually as to each of those statements, would you agree that they're true and correct?
Yes.
And would you like to add anything to those statements?
No.
All right, thank you. Nothing further.
okay. Anybody want to testify for or against the application? It doesn't appear to be anybody there. All right, we thank you. And that closes this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. You're welcome to attend, but the decision will be mailed to you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for your courtesy.
Okay. All right. Our last appeal for the evening is 2409-0027, 520 Washington Street. Ying Quan Wu is seeking a variance to convert an existing office building into 5 dwelling units. A variance for the required minimum floor area for the dwelling units, and a variance for the required off-street parking spaces. The subject property is located in the CC zoning district, and the owner of record is Enki Holdings LLC. And the property referenced is located within the city of Reading, and plans are on file. Would you swear on our zoning officer, please?
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Price?
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, thank you. Are you represented by counsel?
I'm counsel for the applicant. Mr.
Okay, do you
Chairman.
want to enter your appearance? And if you're going to have anybody testify, we'll swear them in at this point.
Sure. My name's Alex Goldberg, Alex Goldberg of the law firm Knockomson PC. And a representative of Enke Holding LLC is in the virtual audience, John Williams. I'd like him sworn in, as well as Steve Bobev, who's the architect for the project. He's also in the virtual audience.
All right, gentlemen, will you both please raise your right hand? You
And
need to unmute.
unmute yourselves. That's it.
You're still muted, Mr. Ryan. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. Again, my name's Alex Goldberg. We are seeking relief for an adaptive reuse of an existing structure located at 520 Washington Street. It's zoned core commercial. And as previously referenced, we're seeking specifically relief for not providing a street level business at this location. We are seeking relief in general, I guess, for the adaptive reuse itself, which typically falls under a special exception, but my understanding is it's a variance tonight because we're not including that street level business. And we're seeking relief because the studio apartment is one of the 5 proposed, and 2 of the 2-bedroom units proposed are slightly under the code requirements for unit square footage. As part of this application, we included a fully executed parking services agreement with the Reading Parking Authority, executed by them as well to lease 8 parking spots for the use of the proposed tenants of this building. My understanding is the code requires the property to be within 300 feet of that specific parking lot. And we are over 750 feet from that parking lot. So we require relief from that code provision as well. My client purchased the property in the spring of 2019 when this specific portion of Washington Street had a much more active commercial and residential activity. Since that time, our world has changed. 522 Washington was a law office. My understanding is that's no longer there. 524 was a consulting office. 526 was a looming shop, and 528 was a food and beverage facility. Based upon public record and my client's understanding is that none of those are there anymore. And again, there's not much activity going on here. There is a history of mixed use on this block. So this wouldn't, a residential use here would not be the first of its kind. Although we are asking for 5 dwelling units to support the commercial corridor located in downtown Reading to add eyes on the street, to provide additional activity to the block, to spruce up this property. Sort of that's a general overview of what we're seeking here. As far as the units go, I'd like for all of the materials that I submitted to Ms. Diaz-Melendez to be submitted into the record. That included our floor plans. We are proposing 4 2-bedroom units and a studio unit on the ground floor. The 2-bedroom units that are on the second floor are the 2 that fall under the 700 square foot requirement. One of those 2-bedroom units is 678 square feet. That's the rear facing unit. The front facing unit is 604 square feet. So both units fall less than 100 square feet short of the code requirement. Obviously, one of them much closer to that 700 number than the other. The other 2 2-bedroom units meet the 700 square foot requirement, and our studio unit meets the 400 square foot studio requirement and measures 465 square feet. You can see there's no living in the basement, just utilities tenant storage and shared laundry. Moving on from that, I would just like to point out as far as the parking goes, which would be sort of in reference to code section 600-1603. Whoever is controlling the screen, I'd ask to scroll up to the aerial photo, showing that it is virtually impossible for anyone to comply with that 300-foot boundary of the parking requirement. The majority of those properties within the 300-foot radius of the parking lot we're seeking to use, which is at 700 Washington Street, are actually parking lots themselves. So we think that is fair grounds. The requirement is 300 feet. We're asking for an additional 500 feet, roughly, from that. That's a 2 to 3 minute walk. We don't think that is a large burden on the tenants, as there is no on-street parking available, to my understanding, on our specific block. This would provide 8 spots for 5 units. Maybe some people have 2 cars, maybe someone has no car. Obviously, that's something that we can't really anticipate, but we think 8 will be suitable. The property will be professionally managed. We'll have security cameras wired in the common hallway in the front and at the front door as well. I'd like to ask Mr. Williams to adopt my testimony, and then we're happy to take any questions. John, did you hear my testimony tonight?
I did, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I did.
And was it true and correct? And if you had the opportunity to testify, would you adopt it as your own?
I would.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any members of the board have any questions? No? All right, Emily?
You're muted, Ann.
Man, it happened to me. I'm usually on that. No, I don't have any questions. I do just have a comment. I know some members of the board, you had been part of discussions regarding zoning ordinance amendments to our parking requirements. That has been delayed a little bit, but part of that amendment, give it the consideration you deem appropriate, is that it would be extending the distance between residential and their parking space, their offsite parking spaces in the commercial core. It would be expanded from 300 feet to 1,000 feet. So that's something that the city, along with their consultants, City Council, Planning Commission, the Berks County Planning Commission, that has been proposed. It seems like it has some decent backing. So I just want to make that comment for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Helpful.
One more thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr.
I did just because I'm not sure how it works upon the conclusion of tonight, but I would just say that when it comes to the relief that we're seeking for the dwelling unit sizes, code section 600-1202 and 1101.d, we would leave it up to the board's sort of consideration whether they would allow modification of those floor plans to meet the minimum dwelling unit requirements, and upon a resubmission of floor plans, if that's something that could be allowed.
Okay.
Thank you. That's been helpful. Mr. Price, anything?
Nothing. The only thing I would say is that we probably need a workshop session.
Right. Well, all right. First of all, no questions from anybody on the board. Anybody have any questions from the audience? Anybody? All right, seeing none. Anybody in the audience want to testify for granting the application? Seeing none. Anybody want to testify against granting the application? Again, seeing none. Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Goldberg?
Do not. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you're more than welcome. We're going to close this appeal. The decision will be issued next month. Will be mailed to you. You don't have to attend, but you're welcome to. And we want to thank all of you for your participation. And that concludes our meeting for October.